Brian, tell us a little bit more about Klock Werks as the business.
Klock Werks is based out of Mitchell, South Dakota. I grew up around bikes and just thought, wouldn't it be cool if you ever had one of these bikes in a magazine? You know, not me, just the bike. That would be awesome. And literally in 1995, 96, I built a turbo bagger, and it had an aerocharger turbo on it. We got to go to the SEMA show in Las Vegas, the world's largest car truck show. And suddenly there's guys like Arlen Ness and Jim Betlock, who runs the V-Twin Expo, come by and say, man, that's a cool bike, you know? And that was a big deal for me, and it was really confidence inspiring. And so in 1997, we hung our license on the wall and started Klock Werks. And it just grew out of building custom bikes, but building custom bikes that you could ride, things that you could use. Certainly we've built our share of weirdo bikes, you know, that, you know, it looks super cool, but you can't really use it. And we learned a lot from that. You know, we decided that's just not our style. That's not our thing. We can certainly do it, but we don't want to do it.
Gotcha.
I had a lot of product ideas, and my wife Laura, we were dating in 2006, and she said, you know, you have these great ideas, and you think of this stuff, and then 5 years later, I see somebody else come out with it too. You know, why don't you execute on it? And I said, well, I just don't have the time. She said, well, why don't you give me 10 things? I wrote down 50 items. She goes, wow, that's scary. Where's that at? And I said, it's in my head. And she goes, we got to figure this out. And she said, what's the 3 things that really just make you pound your fist? What are the things that make you mad? I said, well, crappy fenders make me mad. But fender tools are really expensive. If we go into fenders, you're going to be selling fenders for the next 15 years. There's no way we can do this, you know? And she said, well, inevitably, if that's what makes you mad, that's what we got to try to do. Well, we teamed up with a couple guys in the States here. All of our sheet metal's made, stamped out in Lansing, Michigan. We're super excited about it, and the e-coating process is done in St. Paul. So it's all close to home, it's all US made, and we started cranking out fenders. And everybody told us there's no room for you in the fender business. Well, now we're probably one of the dominant people in the fender business, simply because people have gotten so used to the fact that they can just bolt it on, get the fender painted, do whatever they need to do, the fillers that go in between the bags, they can get those painted, the dashes, the fenders. That stuff was coming out, and then in 2006 we got our big shot at doing a biker build-off. 2004 they'd called, I turned them down. I was as scared of success as I am of failure, you know. And I had an office that was any bigger than your studio here. For my bikes, I'd roll them out, they'd get snow on them, we'd blow them off with the air hose, put them back in every day, and that was all we had. And in 2006 we went for the build-off. We built a bagger, which was the first and only bagger to ever be built on a build-off. And we decided we were going to prove to people that it wasn't just some show bike. And we weren't excited about selling t-shirts. We wanted to really make a difference in the parts world. And it had our fenders and all of our stuff on it. We went to Bonneville. My wife set the land speed record for the world's fastest bagger in the first 2 passes. And Cinderella had come home from the ball. It was over. I mean, in 3 weeks, Drake Specialties had picked up all of our parts. We won the biker build-off with a bagger, and my wife set the land speed record. So August of 2006 was very monumental in launching us. All the way home, I knew that bike lifted at about 125, and my wife said, yeah, it starts wobbling, it does all this. I said, well, what'd you do? She said, I let go, just like you told me. I was like, oh man, that's scary. You know, you let go? She goes, yeah, I just put my hands up there and I just kind of let it do its thing, you know? And so all the way home, I had my hand out the window, and I'm like, okay, this makes it go up, this makes it go down, you know, here's what we got to do. We got to try to get to this point so it goes down real slow. And we designed that windshield. Fast forward another 6 months, we're in Myrtle Beach, and a guy says, well, my buddy knows some people at the wind tunnel. He does built NASCAR Truck Series trucks. He gets me into the wind tunnel. The wind tunnel guys are excited about it. They set me up on a payment plan. 6 months later, we go back down there. We're in the wind tunnel in Mooresville, North Carolina, where they do all the NASCAR testing, and they couldn't believe it. The first 2 passes, you could see that bike, like I said, going 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Put the windshield on and go 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. We took it off. We went up to the control tower, and we opened the door, and they're just screaming and hollering because they knew we had put everything we had into it. We were broke. This was all we were out. This was our last chance. And they said, call your patent attorney, kid. You just made that bike safer for everybody who owns one. What made you think of that? And I told them, about Laura's Racing. And since then, They went on the next 5 years to set records. My wife and daughters are the first mother, daughter in land speed racing history to all hold records at the same time. The windshield received Product of the Year. Laura, my wife, has been named Cyclosaurus Magazine's Woman of the Year twice already. She was just featured in Oprah Magazine rebuild program that she does. So we've been super busy. God really has blessed us just with talents and with the ability to do it. But at the end of the day, our customers are amazing. I mean, people who buy Klock Werks stuff and people who, they feel like, family. They're part of your team. They'll call you and, I'm ready to take my butt chewing if it doesn't work. I certainly will, say it's okay. I get it, And at the end of the day, I'm okay with that. I want them to feel like they have connections to me. They have connections to my team. They have connections to my staff. And we want to make the best parts. We don't plan on being here 3 years, taking their money and just, retiring or going to a different business. I mean, we are Klock Werks. Klock Werks stands for quality. It stands for rideability. And we intend to be here for another 30 years and be active in the motorcycle industry and doing cool stuff.
Well, it's amazing seeing this kind of level of achievement coming out of a small town like Mitchell, South Dakota.
Yeah, and originally I'm from Emory, so it's a population 385. There was 13 kids in my graduating class, and my wife Laura is an Elk Mound mounder. So if you try to find that little pin on your map, it's somewhere outside of Menominee. I'll give you that. Okay, so it's in Wisconsin, but she definitely is a Packer lover and a cheese aficionado, because they don't make real cheese in South Dakota, but there's other cool stuff in South Dakota, so come on by.
Well, speaking of cool stuff in South Dakota, from my hometown,
nice.
We have the Kimball popcorn balls, and that's where I'm from, so I wanted to say thanks for coming up and give one of them.
My wife will be elated because she's a popcorn ball freak, and she does know that literally 45 miles from Mitchell, on your way out to Sturgis, you can stop by Kimball and get yourself a popcorn ball. That's awesome. Thanks, dude.
Best in the state. Well, thanks, Brian, for coming out. I appreciate it.
No problem.
For more information on the products featured here, please head to our website, denniskirk.com.